but how I'm going to start these sessions might be a bit different with what you experienced in other sessions before this. So because in these sessions, we are going to talk about empowering others, right? So it's basically a lead session. So just to quickly introduce myself first, if you have never met me before, my name is Veronica. I was MCP in Isaiah, Malaysia, 1920. I'm sorry that my background might be a little bit noisy because I'm in my office right now. And make sure you can hear me. If anything that you can't hear me, just drop me a note so that I can know as well. Okay, so before we start the whole sessions, I think you all have been attending quite a lot of days of sessions and also probably today as well. So I want you to go into a very quick mindful practice for just 5 minutes so that we can go into the essence of the sessions later because it's going to be 1.5 hours. So what is going to happen next is I want you to find a comfortable seat. Sit where you are and then try to take some time to sit into yourself, and also if you're ready you can close your eyes. So because I can't really see you, right, so if you understand the instruction, just drop me a yes or a wave over the chat so I can know. So after that you can just close your eyes and then you can just go into a very quick mindfulness activity with me, and then just trust the process. Okay. Okay, I'll still wait for 30 seconds for you to calm down. Then I will start the practice with you. All right, if you're ready, close your eyes and we're gonna start.
Mindful breathing. Close your eyes and rest your hands on your knees. Bring your awareness to the touch of your body on your seat. Feel the weight of your body on your chair or cushion. Begin by finding a comfortable posture. Lean slightly forward and back to one side and then the other. Find a comfortable balance as you come back to the center. Now, sitting up straight, feel your head on the top of your neck. How can you sit so that your head, neck, and back feel most comfortable? Take a few deep breaths. While you are breathing deeply, relax your shoulders, your stomach muscles, the muscles in your face and your hands, and your legs. Let go of all the tension in your body. Now bring your attention back to your breath. Where do you feel it most? In your nose or your stomach? In the rise and fall of your chest? Just notice where you feel it most and allow your breathing to be natural and relaxed. Now, notice what the breath feels like as it enters through your nose, goes down your throat, filling your lungs, and back out through your nose. Notice your stomach and chest rise and fall with each inhale and exhale, and allow your breathing to be natural and relaxed. Now bring your awareness to the sensation of your breath in your nose. Feel your breath as it comes in and goes out. Just focus on this sensation, paying attention to each inhale and exhale. When your mind wanders or if you become distracted, just notice what's going on in your head and then gently bring your attention back to your breath, going in and out. Focus on the sensation of your breath in the foreground, allowing thoughts and feelings to come and go in the background. Now gently bring your attention back to the touch of your body on your seat and open your eyes.
All right, cool. So you can bring back your awareness to here. If you are already back, then you can let me know as well. Like just a very quick wave so that I know everyone is. Leo. Whole new world. All right, cool. I hope that the very quick mindfulness practice allow you to sink in, for a while, and at least to be more present with what is gonna happen in this 1.5 hours. Also, for you to relax yourself a bit more. Why I want you to have the mindfulness activity before we start is because I think these sessions I have only a few expectations with you. So I think first is that be in an environment where you can focus and be present. The space is for yourself and it's a pretty much self-led experience. And make sure that you have your notebook with you. Okay, so I'll give you 30 seconds for yourself to make sure you get your notebooks and things before we start the sessions as well. Okay, cool. So once you're done, I will go into discussing with you what's the topic we're going to talk about today. So as you know, you chose these sessions because we're going to discuss about empowering others today. But what exactly is empowering others for you? Before we start, I just want to quickly hear from a few people. What is your experience about empowering others, or what is your general impression towards this? You can just turn on the mic, or if you want, you can just type in the chat as well. Anyone would like to have a quick shout out to me? Like what is empowering others for you? Or even anyone that want to share on the chat quickly. Okay, Leo has a very official answer from Isaac. Anyone else that would like to share? Okay, we have from Subrata, helping people realize and live up to their potential, right? Cool. So I think, of course, yeah, Liang Jun mentioned, for example, inspired to do something more. So of course, in a very official way of how we describe it, so we always talk about these three elements, which is to communicate effectively in a diverse environment, develop and empower other people, and engage with others to achieve a bigger purpose. But our objective here today is not really to just identify what does it mean, how to do, etc. But I want you to go through your own personal experience to really discuss this topic with me within this hour. What does it really mean to be empowering others, right? Or what is in the deeper issues of always when we want to try to empower others, but we couldn't do it. So I'm gonna put you into breakout rooms soon. But later, within your breakout room, what I want you to do is to reflect on the first questions that I'm gonna give you. So what happened is I'm gonna give you a questions. I'm gonna put you into individual reflection space. Then only you go into your breakout rooms to discuss. So the first question is, I want you to recall one previous team experience or moment in your team when people are actually driven by fear of an achievement or uncertainties. How was the team situation and how did you feel? Okay, I will give you 2 to 3 minutes some time for you to reflect, and then I will put you into the breakout rooms later. Okay.
Where are you on the breakout rooms?
All right, cool. So after you are done, now I think it's sure you can put everyone into breakout rooms. So I think we can have around 5 minutes for you to do a pair sharing. Yeah, and we can just put them. Hey, everyone is back. Cool. So anyone would like to share with me what you were talking with your partner just now, since I couldn't really be in your sessions to listen. So like, RIP Liang. Liang, seems like you have some interesting story. So would you like to share? Like what were you talking about? Yeah.
Okay, I think the conversation that we have is actually some of the part that we actually face some issue, and then my part is like about my team, and then about Leo is about like COVID strike, and then there's a lot of things happen. We feel a bit like lost of those kind of things. And I think the things that quite interesting is we both agree that instead of like looking at this like the things that actually stopping us, I think we can actually look it as a chance for us to do something more. For example, when the case in COVID number increasing, right, you can look at how many cases that actually decreased instead of like looking at the case that increased. I think what we can really do is like break off the boundaries, and then to be the one who actually stand up for positivity, to be the one who actually spread it to everyone around us.
Wow, you already debrief your own experience with Leo. But I'm curious, right? I just want to ask a bit more. So when you're at times of uncertainty, of course, COVID is one example. Or when, let's say, when you observe that people are, not motivated in your team or feeling like not able to achieve, for example, how do you observe the situations of your team? Like, how do you think people are feeling? What was the situation? Do you observe them becoming better, for example, or I mean, at times when everyone is driven by fear, etc. I just want to know a bit more on the details of how was your team situation that time.
I think my team is like, because they know like this is going to happen, and then they just like, I just do whatever I can do. I play my role, and then I fight for what I think is still available. But the thing is like, some of them, they don't have that kind of like, I want to bring my LC to somewhere else. I want to end my term because I think that I'm enough. I just want to end my journey. And I think it's like, it's not a very sustainable one. And we have to, like to empower the people so that we can like have more succession as well.
Cool. Amazing. Thank you so much, Liam. So anyone else would like to share? Like, it doesn't have to be your last team experience, but one moment in your team where you remember people are driven by that kind of experience. Like, anyone else would like to share?
My team will talk about like I begin with my experience where like our 4 of our VPs quitting, and in our EB members only LCP left. And what we discussed in breakout room, like she had like similar similar situation where she was only EB and her LCP, so she had to take all the front office role, and LCP was taking all the back office role. So we had this similar experience. And when 4 VPs were quitting, everybody was just like so uncertain. They didn't know what to do, like what's going on, what can they do. My team leaders and like myself will try to like cheer people up, but people are just so unmotivated. Everyone's just like, yeah, like Liam said, like everyone's just done with their term and just waiting for it to finish.
Cool. Thank you so much for the sharing. That's very interesting to hear. I think it's pretty similar with what Liang was sharing as well. So I think before we go further into, like debriefing or even discussing about the way forward, then I have another question for you instead. So it's the same. Before you go into your sharing with your pair, I want you to write down 3 persons' names. So you have to put exact name, not just a person that you imagine or rough figure, but exact name. Someone who have led you or indirectly led you before, that managed to empower you to become a better self. Try to relate it more to work related. Like, of course, you might be meeting a lot of friends or whatever outside that. You have more personal occasions as well, but doesn't matter whether it's Isaac, something a bit more, work related. 3 persons that have led you or indirectly led you. So what does it mean? Means it could be your teammate, it could be even someone that you led, but managed to empower you to become a better self. But one thing I want you to specifically relate with that name of the person is what was one specific action from the person that made you feel empowered. So you must be able to identify one key action. Okay, so I'll give you the relaxing song and then you can go into your personal reflection. Okay, cool. If you are ready, we'll put you in the breakout rooms as well now, so you can discuss with your pair, okay? Anyone would like to share? So I want you to specifically pinpoint and share about one specific actions, right? So what are those actions? Anyone, you can just turn on your mic and speak.
Hi. Hi, Veronica. Yeah. Can I share? All right. So there has been a lot of, yeah. Sorry?
Leo, okay. Yeah, I can go.
All right. So for me, there has been honestly a lot of people who has empowered me through my time in Isaac and outside of Isaac as well. But I would say the three main people who has really empowered me in the last 2 years or so. Among them, there is Luis. Luis was the MCP back in 2019 in Bangladesh. And she made this leadership program for everyone to join in. I was one of the very few people who made it to the program, and getting to know her so closely and then learning so much from her, like her dedication and her selflessness towards creating leadership was something amazing, and it empowered me so much during my term as a member in 2019. And then the second person for me would be my current LCP, who's obviously leaving. She has been someone who has been always there for me right from the start of my Isaac life, I would say. When I was a member, she was my TL, and then she eventually became the LCP. I became the LCVP, and she has been, always there, like with her undefined strength towards pushing for success, towards like not giving up on something that we are doing. So she has been like a very inspiring individual in my life. And lastly, it would be definitely my girlfriend. I mean, she works for UN Woman. She's currently like, she has this again, like this amazing strength towards not giving up, and she's currently is working towards removing patriarchy from the societies in our country. I mean, we have this embedded in our society, and we are trying to, like, we have this uprising from the youth on removing this from our society. And she has been working so hard on this for the last 2 years. So I would say, I mean, these people have been quite like empowering for me. And yeah, that's all I have to share.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for your sharing. Anyone else? We can have one more person to share maybe.
I'm King.
Yeah, can go.
Lady. Actually, since you mentioned Louise, you brought up like an interesting memory that I actually didn't share with Lian over in the breakout rooms. I had an experience where it was state conference, like literally this September, where I just became LCP elect, and it was just a one-on-one with Louise for like 30 minutes, and I was like, hey Louise, like I want to do all these things, like bam bam bam, but I don't know how. And she didn't say anything for like a minute. She was just thinking, and then for the next 25 minutes she was like, Leo, think about this, and she kept going. It was like bam 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 bam. But it was really cool because I've never gotten like that kind of support where someone showed me like how I can make like the dreams that I have come true. And so that was quite an empowering moment. Other than that, I would say it would be my current MCP, NJ, who was my former LCP last year as well. He was just someone who, because I think I'm someone who's not very easy to lead because I don't like to listen to instructions. So NJ was always someone who would be very honest with me, very truthful, and he would tell me, hey Leo, I don't think what you did was very good. like think about it in this perspective, like these perspectives, like the thing that you just did. And it always challenged me to think about how I can be a better person, even though sometimes it was quite hard to, like let go of my ego and like have him tell me something that actually like made me rethink about who I am as a person. Then the last one would be a guy called Luzin, who he always cared about me as a person and would always listen to my concerns and would check up on me as just as a person. That really made me feel like it doesn't sound like much, but it made me feel like I was valued as a person. So that was quite empowering.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much, Leo. So I think both of you highlight certain similar points, but definitely the actions that makes them connected with you might differ according to different people's personality. Like for example, for Leo, it's a bit more on personal approach, or even when the person is being honest. Or the previous one was more like we have similar values or the things that we are looking at, right? So the reason why I asked you to share between these two topics is I want you to start observing a little bit based on your personal experience as well. What are the differences, right? When I think both ways, to be honest, sometimes even when you're driven by fear or when you're driven by a very high pressure environment, definitely people can achieve and succeed as well. But what are the differences, right? At one point, you come from a place of empowering, but another point, you come from a place of being triggered or, being forced to achieve. And I want you to reflect when you are talking about your both previous experience, what kind of feelings or impacts that it left on you as a person. And if you are to start leading your team from today onwards as well, would you want to lead from a place of empowering, or would you want to lead from a place of being driven by fear, for example, right? So I think the truth is a lot of the time we always know, right? We always know the best way when we lead a person is when we care about the person also as a person, like not just as a colleague, for example, not just as a teammate. We know we should always listen. We know we should always observe or be there for the people, right? But truth to be told, especially when you become a P, when you have so much on your shoulder and your team is coming to you like 7 people continuously, one by one, one to one, and everyone is crying, you will tend to not be able to do that anymore. And it's very hard for you each time to choose consciously that I have to always come from a place of empowering, right? And of course, sometimes our fear will make us forget as well, especially when we are being confronted with so many challenges and also, whatever failure that's coming in front of us, right? What if this month we cannot make it? What if next 2 months we cannot make it? Will you still be able to have the patience and the time of how these 3 people have done to you to always be at your best version to lead your team, for example, right? So I have a video for you that I wanted to share with you. Some of you might have seen it before, but personally, I love this so much. I think this is my favorite out of the 4 values. And I think this video is amazing. I only managed to watch it after I left Isaac. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy it. Make sure there's a sound with that, okay? I'll just play it.
Do you care about having followers? Then maybe this concept is not for you. See, one of the most important characteristics of leaders is the fact that they want to create other leaders. They have an authentic intention to see their people achieve more than they can, because they understand this is not about themselves. It's about their people. It's not about being the best. It's not about giving motivational speeches or emotional, sensitive, and encouraging words. Yes, it does involve clear communication. It's about creating spaces where people take action. You don't need to wait to become some sort of old wise man with a sexy long beard, or the experienced boss that knows it all. Remember, this is not about you. It doesn't need to start with a heroic achievement or a glorious accomplishment.
I know many people who are at the bottoms of organizations, and they are absolutely leaders. And this is because they have chosen to look after the person to the left of them and to the right of them. This is what a leader is.
It happens when you are there for others and you support them to find their magic. That's what it means to be empowering others.
Right. So, yep, I like the video a lot. I have to be honest, I really miss this part of my life. There are a lot of people that I see every time I come back to this video. Those are the people that are faces that are very familiar with me, to me, people that I know as well. To be honest, I am very grateful that I learned how to lead in the past 5 to 6 years throughout my experience in Isaac. Because I think there's never another place, at least I haven't experienced it until now. I mean, apart from other work experience that I have, that people put people's development ahead and in front of a lot of things, right? So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to share with you my own personal leading experience in year 2020, which is the year that I think, as you know, is full of uncertainty, whether it's inside or outside of Isaac. The year where I finished my last role as MCP, and also how I was dealing with this thing of knowing how to empower people when I'm working as MCP as well. To be honest, if you watch the video just now, there's a part where they mentioned it's not about you, right? The whole message is a lot regarding, it's always about the people. But I have to be honest with you that I lose that part of me, especially when uncertainty hits, right? I became someone who is so driven and also obsessed with wanting certainty because I did not know how to move my activity forward. So I remember I came back from President Summit in Russia. So that time was February. COVID hasn't happened. And one thing that happened right after I came back from my conference is I was in the kitchen with my MCBP OD, and I was having a conversation with him in the kitchen after the team meeting, right? And I remember that conversation was really triggering because one thing we realized is whatever we plan, in our replanning, whatever I said I want to do in the IPM and all, they wouldn't be happening right now anymore. Of course, because things are starting to get worse. So I started to go into my, automated mode of thinking. I need to do something and I need to lead the entity, right? So the three biggest fear that I have during that time is one, this is my own thoughts, okay? The entity sustainability is in my hand, right? Because if you know, Isaac Malaysia is also gonna organize IC Malaysia next year, 2021. So one thing that I'm very fearful of is that if we can't run operations right now, then how about our entity sustainability? Are we even able to sustain to make sure that we can still organize a conference for the global plenary in the coming year, right? And second is that my team safety is in my hand. So if you know, my team has 5 internationals. That was super pressuring for me. Why? Because for me, my own personal opinion or thoughts that time is that I'm taking in charge of other parents' kids' life, right? Like when everyone is calling for their kids to go back home, fly back right now, or your flight might not come anymore and all. I have this group of people that are in the MC flight with me, not knowing whether they can go back home in the next couple of months. To be honest, I still have one more MC with me in Malaysia right now. So she's the girl, one of the girls over there. She's from Vietnam. And but fortunately, she finally got her flight and she's flying back next week already. But that was the amount of uncertainty and pressure I have as a leader. Not just about leading their experience, but also their safety, right? And Malaysia went into a quarantine mode where we can't go out of the house for a couple of months, other than only one person from each house you can go out. So during that time, I received calls from my MC team's parents. You know, I have to talk to them like, yeah, they are safe. We'll make sure that we can send them back once. You know, it's not even just about can we still run our work anymore, but it's also about these groups of people's safety. We took this picture in the house in, you know, middle of the quarantine as well. And then the final one, which is also something personally super important for myself, is that if we can't run operations, then what are we still doing as a youth leadership organization, right? As a youth Malaysia, are we sticking to the promise that we say we want to develop youth, for example? But having these things or worries in my mind do not really help me to push the team forward, to be honest, because I have so much assumptions and I think I need to be the person who solves it. I think a lot of the time when we talk about the loop of falling into not being able to empower, it's really not just because of like, sometimes it's not just because you don't care, you are not a responsible P, but a lot of time it's because you care too much. You care too much and you don't trust and you are not willing to let go, right? So apparently I became in my most unhealthy state. I was not leading at my best state. I was micromanaging a lot. I was pushing for progress and certainty a lot. But things only start to change when I start turning all the my into our. What does it mean, right? So the first thing, a couple of things that I changed after when I realized that I could no longer push my team by having everything just on myself, is that one, I realized that the entity sustainability is in our hand, but not my hand, right? I think the thing is, I need to understand that the entity is not mine. Like Isaac in Malaysia is huge. And the more I control, the more I realize the fear doesn't come from anyone, but from myself. So if you have a view at this picture, that is the stakeholders map that I draw. And when I have an emergency town hall, or we call it like a breaking news for everyone in our entity, only message I gave to my plenary that time is that, to be honest, I don't have a solution for you, right? Being a person that's leading the entity to tell people that you are leading, I don't have a solution, is something that is extremely vulnerable, because as a leader to tell you today, I don't have a solution for you. But the only solution I can trust is that this is the amount of people working for an entity. We have the MC team, we have the national supporting team, we have the LCP, LCBPs, your partners and everyone. And we need to work together, right? And that is when I start putting entity sustainability and responsibility for my whole team, my national team, and also my whole entity, other than myself. And I think that is a very, very liberating and also empowering moment that I make myself to do with my team. And second is, of course, when I realized the team safety is not just in my hand, but in the whole team's hand together. I remember in the first month, I was literally telling them, like I was tracking everyone. If you want to go somewhere and come back, you have to make sure you let us know. We have to stay as, you know, like the 14 days bubble, so that the quarantine thing. So to make sure like you don't have any risk of bringing the, you know, virus back or however, because for me, I'm really worried, what if anything happens to all of them, because I have to call with their parents, right? So, but I think at one point when I choose to be vulnerable, I communicate openly with my team. And my biggest fear is to have any of them getting COVID, right? It's very, very pressuring, because at one point I started to have some of my MC that when they start coughing, they start thinking they have COVID, you know? And there's one guy who stayed in his room for a couple of days without coming out. When I go in and ask him what's happening, and they say, I think I have COVID, for example. So many of such things happen. But I think the moment when we truly connect, and, you know, if you know the Maslow, what is that, pyramid, when people are not even getting security of their safety, you can't even talk about wanting to still do things for the entity, because people are in fear, right? So I think that's the second thing. I start being vulnerable, and I bring out a lot more people to have those vulnerable conversations with our team. If you are worried, you miss your home, you miss your parents, you miss going back, you are afraid what you should still do in Malaysia when this is breaking out and you are still being MC, you need to talk to us, and we need to talk to each other. right? And the final thing is about operations. So I realized the entity's promise to the community is also in our hand, but not just myself. So I think I started to change the way I lead all my LCPs and also my MC team as well. I started to give them ownership, right? So before that, before COVID happened, I was telling my LCP always like, this is the direction, this is what you should be doing and all. Honestly, I remember that one-to-one I have with them ever since COVID started is that the only thing I want you to do is look around your community, which is the vulnerable community, and what help do they need. And you need to go out with your LCVPs, start surveying what is needed by the community that you are serving. And you need to figure from your projects, can you still help them based on Isaac capacity, right? So we started to launch the new campaign with all our LCs, changing everything, where we push them out to communities because we can't run IGB projects anymore. So we are changing all our projects to virtual volunteers. And then I push all of them out to start calling NGOs, to start calling their community to see how Isaac can play a role in that. To be honest, just last week, I was very, very proud because I think a couple of months after I ended my term, they generated the reports of how was the whole project execution during pandemic for our projects. And something I'm so proud to see is that, for example, this project called Clean Our Plate, we actually managed to collect food donation. So we changed a food waste project into a food donation campaign, and we distributed to a lot of different corners in Malaysia. And they also continue to run food waste project all through virtual engagement, right? I even have a lot of LCPPs that set up their own house as a point of collection for food waste and also food donation. So they turn their own house into a collection point to collect all this food donation and then redistribute to communities around them during pandemic. And for me, none of this idea came out from me. None of this idea came out from even my MC. But this is all done by the local chapters when they are together and they go and talk to the community around them and they figure what does Isaac mean for the country during this period of time, right? And I think this is what this value or this thing about empowering people has taught me the most. Honestly, I'm feeling extremely humble to be able to be an MCP during this period of time because I don't think so I will be able to